Salutations friends, welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be responding to comments, answering questions, and kind of delving into a few little mini discussions with you guys. So if you like these types of videos, then keep watching. I haven't done one of these videos in a few weeks. I really like to do this. It is hard for me sometimes to sit down and answer all of my comments. Some comments I think are really smart and deserve more of an in-depth explanation or chit-chatting. I really love getting into some of these comments. Some of you guys have really amazing comments or questions I wouldn't even think you guys would want answered. So I like to sit down and do these videos every few weeks. So first off, the first discussion little topic we're going to talk about is a recent community post I did. I'm going to kind of explain it a little bit more here. I do have two videos related to this content, so I will link them below. And a few years ago, one of you guys asked me to do like a scented video where I scented Harry Potter. I also scented the characters of Pride and Prejudice. It was a lot of fun. This definitely isn't a unique topic to my channel. It's just something that you guys asked me to do and I really enjoy doing it. It's been a very long time since I've done it and I've been kind of itching to do it again. So I asked on my community post, what would you guys like to see? I gave a few examples. A lot of people want me to scent Game of Thrones, so I will be doing that. And I'm definitely going to be doing Twilight because I think that would be fun. If you guys didn't know, Twilight, the books and movies are a guilty pleasure of mine. I will leave it at that. I'm also going to do Warhammer, and I'm deciding how I want to do Warhammer. If you guys didn't know, I used to do tabletop Warhammer 40K. I loved it, so I definitely have an appreciation for Warhammer. I also played a lot of World of Warcraft, and I'm also a gamer. I play a lot of video games, so I thought it would be fun to do some different licenses and, you know, kind of get a little bit more gamer with it than what I usually am on my channel. I also thought it would be fun to do some more classic literature and some sci-fi, so I thought it might be fun to do scenting Doctor Who, doing two different videos, one video where I sent all the doctors, and then one video where I sent all the companions, or maybe do an additional video where I sent all of the baddies. So let me know if that's the type of content you'd like to see, and give me some recommendations or requests. Let me know, because I think this would be fun to do every so often. I just like the idea of it. It just seems fun and a little bit different than what my channel usually is, which is just reviews and lists and discussion. It might be, you know, fun to have a little whimsy, you know, in there. So let me know what you guys think. But I'm definitely going to be doing Game of Thrones, and I'm definitely going to be doing Warhammer, and I'm probably definitely going to be doing Twilight. So those three I will be doing. So look for those within the next few weeks or the next few months. Oh, and Star Trek. So yeah. This next comment, I did answer this comment, but I thought it would be fun to kind of answer this because I do get asked this question from time to time, and then also go into a little segue about decluttering. So this is from Iris, and this is on my video talking about when to purchase retail, how to use reward points to get the most bang for your buck, to get free fragrances or a lot of money off, and a little bit about discount retailers and gray market. So Iris writes, "Hi Kristin, I was thinking of decluttering some of my perfumes, and it's great that you happen to mention sites like Depop, eBay, Mercari, Forums, etc. where people can buy perfumes secondhand. I've always been the buyer on that equation, never a seller. How would you go about sending perfumes through the mail? Could you do a shipping tutorial video on how to send off a perfume and which shipping is best? Thanks so much." So this is a great question. Now, I don't usually declutter my collection. Sometimes I'll go through stages where I'll like sell a few smaller bottles because I want to get bigger ones, or maybe, you know, I have a big medical bill and so I'm just gonna like sell a few bottles so I don't have to dip into my savings to pay, you know, like $10,000 worth of a surgery that had happened. Anyway, we're not getting into my medical history. We are going to get into my history in regards to shipping and fulfillment. So one of the businesses that I own that's currently on hiatus until I reset up the studio, because during the move and then my dad's health and working and then the car accident, I haven't been able to set up my sandblasting studio. So I own a sandblasting and etching and art glass business. It's been on hiatus for about 2 years, which is fine. I have an entire studio with equipment that costs a lot, a lot of money. This is a legitimate business that I run, and I've been, you know, kind of stepping back from it, and we're going to rebrand it and have it be probably more art glass and less what we did, which was a lot of high volume custom glassware, I think for weddings or yacht people spend a lot of money on expensive crystal with their yacht etched onto it. And sometimes I would, on slow months, I would ship 200 to 500 packages and across the world. Some of these packages would have 100 pieces of glass in there. And then during Christmas time, we're talking about 200 to 500 boxes a day. So I have a lot of experience packing. The most important thing to remember when you're shipping fragrance is it's considered a hazardous material. So if you're shipping worldwide, you want to be very mindful of the carrier and very mindful that the place that you're sending it can receive said item. There are a lot of restrictions when it comes down to hazardous material, especially if it's shipped from person to person. And the reason why it's important is if something happens in transit, you could be held liable for damages. So say if a bottle of perfume breaks in a box and it catches fire, something happens, you could be liable for all the damages in the warehouse. So that's extreme worst case scenario. So the biggest thing to figure out which shippers are best is figure out where you're shipping and figure out how to ship hazardous materials with those places. Some places are a little bit more lenient, some places are really strict. But first, find the shipper that's going to work best for you. You're going to have to do a little bit of research depending on where it's being shipped and also pricing and length of time it takes to get there. It is a little bit of experience. I usually within the States ship fragrances USPS, United Postal Service ground. If you do tell them that you don't, and you have to declare that it's a hazardous. So if you do ship something, some people will ship priority. But again, if something happens and you declare that it was not hazardous and it is, you can get a little bit of trouble. So I always just say the person receiving the bottle can obviously wait an extra 2 to 3 days to get their bottle, and then everything's safe and is shipped accordingly. So just the first thing is to be mindful of is you are shipping hazardous material. So finding the right shipping carrier that's going to be the best for shipping those types of goods to different parts of the country or the world is going to be a little bit of research you're going to have to do. The second thing is packaging. So I'm going to grab this little bottle right here, this little guy right here, and use this as an example. Some people, when they create fragrances, there's different styles of sprayers, and there's like crimping, there's bottles that screw on, there's like decanter splash things. And you want to make sure that the bottle is secure because you don't want it to leak. A, because it's hazardous, and B, because somebody is paying for the amount of fluid that is in this bottle. So say this was a $150 bottle of perfume that I was selling, and I'm selling a 1.7 ounces. So somebody's purchasing 1.7 ounces at $150. So if this leaks in transit and you lose, say, like half of it, then you're gonna have to owe $75, or maybe the person didn't want a partial, maybe they're going to refund. You wanna make sure, just for the sake of the transaction, that this is secure for no leaking, just so that the person gets what they paid for. So the first thing that I always like to do is I like to make sure that the cap, the sprayer, and the atomizer are all secure. So this area on a bottle, and I can tell you from experience from shipping a lot of glassware, and I shipped a lot of a variety of different things, stemware, whiskey sets, art glass. I promise you, this is going to be the most vulnerable area, even with the cap. So when you package things, you want to make sure this is protected. So this cap here is protecting this from going down, but it's not protecting this. So if it's jostled in transit, it can snap, or it can leak, or it can even loosen if it's the type of fragrance that, screws on and is not crimped on, or other ways that you would attach it. So what I like to do is I like to make sure that this is protected. So sometimes I'll save cardboard tubing or pieces of cardboard, and I'll kind of create a little protector for the cap, and I will attach it with saran wrap to here. So I'm trying to see if I have a piece of paper around here to kind of mimic this. Give me a second. Here's a great example. I'm kind of cutting in because at the end of the video I talk about a bottle receiving. I ordered something from the UK, came in. Here's a great example of, I bought some things. I bought a fragrance from Rook. See how this is protecting this? So when it goes in the box, this protects the cap. This is kind of like what I'm talking about. This is something I would actually save if I was selling a lot of fragrances. So what happens is even in the box, if something happens to the cap, this protects that weak point. If you don't have this, I created with pieces of cardboard. So hopefully this visual that I just had fall into my lap gives you an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, back to the rest of the video. So I just grabbed a piece of paper from a little memo pad I have. So what I'll do is I'll take cardboard and I'll create a round or sometimes a square, but something to protect first the cap and this, and then I'll wrap this in saran wrap. And that actually will add a little bit more protection to the cap and the sprayer. If I think it's particularly vulnerable or delicate, I will then take pieces of cardboard after I wrap that and reinforce both sides with it. And that kind of protects it. Now that is just protecting the bottle. After I do that, so if it's either just to protect the cap or if it's also adding additional protection on the sides, I will then vacuum seal this bottle. And I wrap everything in saran wrap because it's really great at holding things together. And it's usually very affordable and it's something that a lot of people have around their house. So I like to use saran wrap for that. So after I get this secured, I will then vacuum seal it. So what I'll do is I just use my food saver that I use to vacuum seal my food. I will vacuum seal this and that will secure this if any liquid does seep through, if there's any breakage. It generally will not leak into the box. It makes it more protected in regards to leaks. But if everything is packed correctly, it won't break and it'll be totally fine. Now we're talking about packaging it for shipping. Now, the best way to do this truly is to save the boxes, but even sometimes I don't think the boxes, if they've been jostled around, moved around, they're not the best for shipping glassware. I've seen it happen. I've received things that were broken that were shipped in original packaging. I just like to make sure that this is secure. That's my personal take on it. It doesn't mean that anyone's wrong for not doing it that way. I've just seen worst case scenario. So after we go to this, we have to put this in a box. So what I usually like to tell people is go a size larger than what you think you need because you need a lot of secure void fill. Now void fill can be things like these guys right here. These are obviously these big pillowy things, air pillows, cushions. I prefer to use things like paper, and this isn't something you have to go out and purchase. If you make any online purchases like from Amazon or from any other places, you'll probably have an extra void fill lying around. Definitely reuse it. When I was shipping things with my company, the biggest cost for us, weirdly enough, like number 2 or 3 was void fill for everything. Aside from our equipment, which was thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. So void fill is extremely expensive, and for us it was extremely valuable. So anytime I received a box that had good void fill, I saved it. Business-wise, you don't need to have like 20 bags filled with peanuts or lots of different papers that you got from different purchases. But if you have a little area in your closet or, you know, in your garage, having a little box filled with paper or peanuts or these little guys will be good if you're going to be decluttering your fragrances and you need proper void fill to ship your fragrance. And you want to make sure that once this is wrapped and vacuum sealed, I recommend wrapping it in bubble wrap once or twice and then putting it in a box that's at least double the size that you think you need. So a fragrance like this, after it was properly secured, would probably be about this tall and this thick. Sometimes you can ship it in boxes that are the size of a VHS cassette. You could ship it, shove it in there and think to yourself, I'm done. It fits perfectly. It's snug and secure. But the problem is when people ship boxes, they're putting sometimes heavy things on there. You might have a 40-pound box put on top of a little box, and if you have pressure on pressure on pressure, it'll cause this to break. And if it's wrapped in vacuum seal, or if it's vacuum sealed, it will probably, in most cases, unless the glass punctures it, it'll kind of stay in there and it's not leak, but you receive a broken bottle. So you want to make sure that there's enough cushion to protect the bottle. You have the bubble wrap, you have the saran wrap, you have this reinforced, but it still needs to be protected. So I like to say, try and have at least 3 inches of secure packaging around it in order to kind of give it a little bit of an allowance if there's a box that's heavy or if it's dropped or damaged. The void fill will kind of absorb that energy and it won't, less likely to hurt your bottle. So you're gonna think this everywhere. So a box like this, to ship this, I'd say an 8x6x5 or a 10x6x5 would probably be the best. And you might think to yourself, well, that's overkill. But to be perfectly honest, if you're shipping a small box that this barely fits into and one of those big boxes, you're really only looking at between 75 cents to $1.25 difference in shipping costs, generally. So if you invest an extra $1 to ship this correctly, you have way less likely of an issue of it arriving damaged. Then you'll be out money because it arrived damaged. So that's my best advice for shipping fragrances, especially if you're decluttering a collection, because it's harder to get insurance because it's usually not receipts. It's kind of like you're selling things secondhand. It's very hard to kind of prove value when you're selling things secondhand. So just to protect yourself and to protect your money that's being shipped, you want to make sure that this is packaged correctly. I know this is a long discussion about this, but I figured I'd let you guys know. So that's my recommendation. And then just to kind of go into, because I do get asked this a lot, I'd say the past year, decluttering videos have become so popular and trendy within the fragrance community. And let me tell you, I love watching them. I think that they're great. However, I myself am not the type of collector, or my interaction with fragrance and how I collect and wear and stuff, I'm not the type of person to declutter. I am the type of person to curate my collection. I am not the type of person to declutter. Obviously, when you have over 800 bottles of perfume, you could probably declutter 800 bottles of perfume. But for me, my collection is about collecting. Whenever I collect something, I always collect in excess. I'm not a hoarder. I know it's really hard to believe that, but there's a few things I collect. I collect pearl jewelry, I collect art, I collect black cat themed items, and I collect fragrance. And I'm also collecting vintage fragrance bottles, more from an archival sense, not so much as a put on display sense, but that's a completely different video. So I'm not the type of collector to declutter, but there are times where I might sell smaller bottles to buy larger bottles, or I might, get a gift. I have friends that'll get me gifts, or, sometimes you get gifts with purchase where it's you buy one, get one free. Sometimes I think Lancome had a buy one bottle, get the same bottle free. And I might do that, and I might sell the additional bottle. So you might see things pop up on my Depop from time to time, but I'm not decluttering. It's not the type of way that I collect fragrances, but I do love watching those videos. They're like fertilizer for my soul. I really enjoy them, but you will probably not, at least in the near future or the long future, see me do a decluttering video. And this is the last comment because I feel like I talked a lot longer on the other things than I thought I was going to do. This is on my first impressions of Angel Nova. It has nothing to do with Angel Nova, but I figured I'd respond to it. Have I ever reviewed Libre and Libre Intense by Yves Saint Laurent? I bought the Intense version, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Hope all is well with you. Sending love. I have reviewed Libre. I have not reviewed Libre Intense. I own Libre Intense. Currently, the Eau de Toilette is on its way to me, and I'm actually going to do a video where I compare all 3 of them. So that'll be coming out in the next few weeks. I know I will not be the first person to do it, nor the last, but I do really love the scent. I think it's beautiful, and I didn't review the Intense because by the time I got it, there were so many reviews out there that it said exactly what I would say. I didn't feel the need. So when I review fragrances and I do videos, when I plan on doing videos, if it's the type of video that I know that there's going to be a lot of saturation, I won't do it because I don't think it's necessary. A lot of times I review things because I want to review them, and a lot of times I review things because I think it needs to be out there. Maybe it's a house that's not too talked about, or maybe it's a fragrance that I think is underappreciated, or maybe my opinion is different than other people's. And that doesn't mean that they're wrong and I'm right, or I'm wrong and they're right. It's just nice to have a difference of opinion sometimes. But with some releases, especially highly anticipated ones, there's so many reviews out there, and then I see that a lot of the reviews are the same as what I would say. I just think to myself, there's no need. And so when Intense came out for Libre, I was like, there's a lot of people comparing it, there's a lot of people reviewing it, and honestly, I agree with most of them, so it just seemed like I could review something else. But I do love the scent enough that I am going to talk about all three, and that will be my video on it, rather than me comparing Intense to the original, but now I can compare all three together. It seems more my style personally. Anyway guys, it seemed like this video had a weird break. It's because I got delivered some fragrance I ordered from the UK. I'm really excited, so you will see more on that later. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank everyone for commenting. If I didn't get to your comments, I'm very sorry. I am trying to be a little bit more proactive with answering and responding to comments. I do read them all, so thank you guys so much for all the positive comments, all the love, and even the negative ones. That's fine too. Thank you guys so much. If you have any additional comments or questions, or you have other recommendations for me scenting videos, let me know in the comment section below. As always guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye!